My name is Tamika Harper, but the world knows me as Georgia Me. I am an international award-winning spoken word artist.
Tommy Bottoms, spoken word artist, playwright.
My name is Bathsheba A. Rem. I'm affectionately known as Queen Sheba in the world of spoken word, but I'm also a stand-up comedian and a black athlete.
Well, my name is Red Storm. My birth name is Darren Redmond, and I guess you could say I'm a poet, but I just call it some stuff I wrote on a piece of paper.
My name is Rewap. I am a spoken word artist, poet, writer. I'm the shit.
So my name is Dichotomy, also known as Vincent Maurice. I am a regional director for a Fortune 500 IT company, but I'm also a spoken word artist slash host slash producer.
My name is the infamous Cola Rum, and I am a spoken wordsmith, artist, and writer, essayist.
My name is Abyss. I'm a spoken word artist, musician, poet, jack of all trades.
Okay, I ain't never said this on camera, so I'm saying you my man 50 grand. It doesn't really mean nothing. That's why I usually tell people, you know what I mean? Because it really doesn't have any significance.
I met this dude at a place on Simpson Road, now it's called Joseph E. Boone, this place called Tasty Dog, which no longer exists, it burned down. But anyway, he was trying to holler at me, and he was like shouting, you know, I'm full of that Georgia Me. And I was like, Georgia Me? What's Georgia Me? He was like, gang. And it was like rockets and stars and everything just appeared out of the sky. And then I was in church on that Sunday, and I like to decipher words, so it came out God's apostle, moving everywhere. And I was like, that's my name. I'm gang, Georgia Me, representing all day, you know what I'm saying? So that's how I came up with my name.
I'm really big on like words, and so anytime I would hear somebody use a word that I didn't know, I would look it up. And in conversation, somebody used the word dichotomy, and I looked it up, and it was a combination of two, you know, opposing or conflicting forces that existed in one. There were all these things about my life that seemed to be these contradictions that existed within myself, and so I adopted the name dichotomy from a poetry perspective, and I've been going by that ever since.
My stage name comes from a poem I wrote called Pussy Rewap. It's sort of a play on the idea that people say that pussy doesn't have any power, but it really does. So I feel like I'm all that power too, so that's where that name Rewap comes from. It's actually power spelled backwards.
So me and my man used to be talking about just with random conversation of what your name would be if you was a porn star.
It's a horrible story, actually. It's not fun at all. It's I used to work for Bank of America like in the 90s, and we had to do this core values video, and we all had to choose names, and I was like, I'm gonna be Queen Bee for Bathsheba. And of course at the time Little Kim was, you know, the main female rapper on the radio, so they were like, you can't be Queen Bee, Little Kim is Queen Bee. And I was like, fine, I'll be Queen Sheba. And that's how I got my name, which is horrible, I know, but I feel like it morphed into something way more positive as I started to use it for poetry.
Cats over on Martin Luther King and the SWATs chose my stage name for me. They started, when I first started, I used to come out to a spot, and I would DJ sometimes I would rap, sometimes I would say a poem. And they were like, you know, you got flavor like rum. They used to always say that. And then some of the cats, you know, when you're in the ghetto, cats are always gonna call you what you look like. You look like you're light skinned, they might call you lemonade. So I got the complexion of a Coca-Cola. So cats they didn't know my name, so they just started calling me Cola. And then Cola Rum, and it stuck.
Well, my stage name was actually given to me while I was incarcerated in the Illinois Department of Corrections. And one of the guys, you know, we was just going over names to change our old names if we ever happen to make it in another life. And they came up with Red Storm, and I was like, yeah, that kind of fit. So, you know, it's prison.
So he just talking shit, you know what I'm saying? I'm back to talk about what you did this weekend, you know what I mean? But basically, we came up with some name. I said my name was gonna be Joey Bottoms. I was like, nigga, my name will be Joey Bottoms, nigga. And then like I went home, was thinking about it. Then when I came back to work the next night, I was like, nah, nigga, it'd be Tommy Bottoms. You know what I'm saying? It was just some random shit. And so then it became this thing about, you know, so if I jumped off some little freak shit, I used to be like, it's a Tommy Bottles production. You know what I'm saying? And this was just way before I was ever even doing poetry. I had never even heard of poetry this time. Fast forward about 4 or 5 years, I fell up on my first poetry spot. And when I signed the list, I just signed to Tommy Bottoms. But it had nothing to do with poetry.